So this one is from a listener named James, and he says, I'm wondering in my workout if I should use dumbbells versus barbells or barbells versus dumbbells. Is there one that's better than the other?
James, great question. Very easy answer to this is
Mm-hmm.
that no, one's not better than the other one. The other side is that one can be better than the other one depending on what your goal is, what
Mm-hmm.
you have access to, and what you're going to be consistent with. So there's big debates, dumbbell versus barbell. Dumbbells are safer because if you were to fail a rep, you can bail on it easier. For example, let's take like a classic bench press. If you're on the bench and you have dumbbells and you're pressing it up and you kind of get stuck, oh, I can't press this anymore, I'm at my limit. Well, you can just drop them and they're not going to come down on your midline. They're not going to come down on your body. They're just going to crash to the floor.
Except my one friend that hit himself in the
Except
face.
for your one friend that hit himself in the face with that.
Shout out to
There's,
Austin.
there's always special circumstances. And Austin, thank you for showing us that special circumstance. But with a barbell, for example, if you go to fail a rep, it's going to come down and the bar's going to be coming across your midline. You're going to be taking load in through your sternum and through your chest. Now you can get out of that position if you don't have clips on it. You can push one side up a little bit so the weights fell off and then the other side, which is another thing I'll just throw out there. A lot of times people are saying, make sure you work out with safety clips, which is absolutely true, unless you're working out by yourself. Because if you're working out by yourself, having the clips off becomes a safety measure for you to get out if you do get stuck. Now, with that being said, I used to get stuck under the bar all the time. And it was because I was ego lifting and not listening to what my body was saying for that day. So I programmed I'd have, we're going to hit 95% of your one rep max of a bench press. And I was having a day that I was feeling like maybe 70% I can hit. 80% feels extremely heavy. Well, let's put on the weight. Guess what? Failed that rep. You never want to leave the court with a missed shot. You never want to leave the gym on a missed rep. So use a weight that you're going to be able to do. If you're pushing yourself and going for a heavier weight, do it when people are around you that can spot you. So for safety reasons, dumbbell versus barbell, dumbbells tend to be safer than a barbell. If you are using a barbell, don't worry too much about the clips so that you can slide to get the weights to drop off to get out of that position if you get there. Now, with that being said, what are the other differences? Well, with a dumbbell, the thought is that you're going to get more stability because you're pressing with one side. You're able to get some more asymmetry tests, which on our YouTube channel, we have tests for chest press, for overhead press, and using a dumbbell in those positions, you're able to see, do I have an asymmetry? Do a 5-rep max single arm bench press on your left side, a 5-rep max single arm bench press on your right side. Do the same thing for overhead, and these asymmetries are going to start to really present themselves to you. Now, at the same time, so does that mean dumbbells are the best thing to use? No, barbells have a great time and place. It depends on your goals, depends on what your training is, but also depends on what do you want as an athlete. Like if you're an athlete that loves the barbell, then we're not going to go, oh, we're going to create a program for you that only includes dumbbells. Lean into that discomfort. Like, no, you like the barbell. Let's use the barbell in some different ways and get that different stimulus. So I don't think it's one's better than the other. They both have their time and the place. For example, coming back from someone that's had a pec repair or pec surgery to reattach their pec, or they just had a pec strain. One year in the CrossFit Games, they had handstand push-ups on the rings, and a lot of their athletes had a lot of injuries from that. So what does that rehab look like? Well, we're probably going to use dumbbells initially just to see, are you okay with pressing this? Is there a big asymmetry that we need to work on? But then building back up, we're going to go back to the barbell. But it doesn't mean that we go to the barbell and we're going to go away from dumbbells. We can always mix and match them together.
Yeah, I think it's important to know that both, if you're able to use both, use both. And if you have a love for one versus the other, that's not a bad thing, but make sure you don't neglect the other one. Because I know for myself, if we're doing like strict overhead press and it's on a barbell, I'm going to lift more than on the dumbbell, and so I'm going to feel good because I lifted more for a strict overhead press. But then if I use just a dumbbell, I can see my asymmetries so quickly.
Right.
And sometimes you need to work on those things in order to then be able to lift heavier. Well, you really should work on those things in order to lift heavier. And so don't neglect the one because you love the other,
Right.
or because the other's like lifting you up and building your ego in a good way. Just make sure you're like using both if you have the opportunity to use both.
Exactly. Yep.
Awesome. Great question, James. Thank you.